Have you ever wondered how some individuals effortlessly earn the respect of everyone they meet? Today, we're about to embark on a remarkable journey, guided by the ancient wisdom of a Zen master, to discover the captivating secret of gaining respect not through force, but through a profound, life-changing approach. Our story begins in the tranquil foothills of the Himalayas, where I had the privilege of meeting an extraordinary woman named May. May wasn't famous or wealthy, but her presence commanded an unspoken respect from all who encountered her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a gentle orange glow upon the landscape, May shared with me a story that would forever change my perspective. May had spent her life in a quaint, remote village, practicing the Zen philosophy passed down through generations. She explained that respect, in the Zen way, was a subtle art, an art deeply rooted in self-awareness and mindfulness. She recounted the tale of a humble bamboo tree that had once grown in her village, a tree that would teach us the first lesson. The bamboo tree stood tall and unassuming, swaying gracefully in the breeze. May's village held great reverence for this tree, not for its height or strength, but for its ability to bend and not break in the face of the fiercest storms. She explained that the bamboo's flexibility was symbolic of our first lesson, non-attachment. In the storms of life, like the bamboo, we must learn to be flexible. May had faced countless challenges in her life, yet she never clung to her desires or sought approval. She remained true to her values, and her unwavering authenticity naturally earned the respect of her fellow villagers. As we continued our conversation, May led me to a peaceful garden, where the soft murmur of a nearby stream filled the air. It was here that she taught me the importance of patience and understanding. She spoke of a fragile butterfly that had once landed on her finger, and how she had marveled at its delicate wings. The butterfly's fragility reminded her of the fragility of human emotions, and she shared the wisdom of our second lesson, patience. May urged me to be patient in times of disagreement, to listen and understand, and to remember that just as the butterfly needed a gentle touch, so did the people in our lives. By showing patience, she said, we earn respect by respecting the differences in others. Our journey continued as May introduced me to a remarkable tree in her garden, the Bodhi tree. She explained that the Bodhi tree was a symbol of enlightenment, and its leaves rustled with the lesson of our third principle, humility. The Bodhi tree's roots spread wide and deep, but its branches remained low, bowing with a sense of grace. May emphasized that humility was the cornerstone of Zen philosophy. Whether you were a leader or an individual contributor, humility, like the Bodhi tree, would earn the trust and respect of those around you. May's own humility was palpable, and her stories painted a vivid picture of the wisdom she had gained over her lifetime. As our conversation drew to a close, May and I stood on a hill overlooking the village. The sun was setting, casting a warm and golden glow upon the landscape. May shared the most profound lesson of all, the culmination of her life's wisdom. It was the importance of compassion and empathy, and she likened it to the river that flowed through the heart of the village. May recounted the story of a time when the river had overflowed, threatening to engulf the village. The villagers had banded together, demonstrating unwavering compassion and empathy for one another. In the river's torrents, she said, we find our own torrents of emotions, and by embracing compassion and empathy, we can navigate the stormy waters of life. And so, our journey through May's wisdom came to an end, but the lessons she imparted continue to resonate in my life. I left her village with a profound sense of purpose, armed with the knowledge that respect, in the Zen way, is not a destination but a journey. So, with that said, I encourage you to embark on your own journey. Embrace non-attachment, practice patience, nurture humility, and cultivate compassion and empathy. As you do, you'll find that respect, like a gentle breeze, will naturally flow into your life. Let's watch another Zen story on how to get rich and wealthy. A young man who was poor and unhappy decided to visit a Zen master and ask for his advice. He hoped that the master would teach him the secret of wealth and happiness. He traveled for many days until he reached the master's hut in the mountains. He knocked on the door and was greeted by the master, who invited him in. The young man bowed respectfully and said, "Master, I have come to seek your wisdom. I am poor and unhappy, and I want to know how to get wealthier and happier. Please teach me the way." The master smiled and said, "You have come to the right place. I will teach you the way, but you must follow my instructions exactly. Are you ready?" The young man nodded eagerly and said, "Yes, Master, I am ready. Please tell me what to do." The master said, "First, you must give me everything you have. Your clothes, your money, your belongings, everything. You must have nothing left." The young man was shocked and said, "But Master, I have very little to begin with. How can I give you everything? And if I do, how will I survive?" The master said, "Trust me. This is the first step to getting wealthier and happier. You must let go of everything you have. Only then can you receive more." The young man hesitated, but he decided to trust the master. He took off his clothes and gave them to the master. He emptied his pockets and gave him his money and his few possessions. He stood naked and empty-handed before the master. The master said, "Good. Now you are ready for the second step. You must go to the nearby village and beg for food and clothes. You must not accept anything else. You must only ask for food and clothes." The young man was dismayed and said, "But Master, how can I do that? I have never begged before. I will feel ashamed and humiliated. And what if people refuse to help me?" The master said, "Do not worry. This is the second step to getting wealthier and happier. You must learn to be humble and grateful. You must appreciate what others give you. Only then can you share more." The young man sighed, but he decided to obey the master. He left the hut and walked to the village. He felt cold and hungry, and he felt ashamed of his nakedness. He approached the first house he saw and knocked on the door. A woman opened the door and saw him standing there. She was surprised and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" The young man bowed his head and said, "Please forgive me for disturbing you. I am a poor traveler who has nothing. I have come to beg for some food and clothes. Can you please help me?" The woman looked at him with pity and said, "Of course I can help you. Come in, come in. I will give you some food and clothes." She invited him in and gave him a bowl of rice and a piece of bread. She also gave him a shirt and a pair of pants that belonged to her husband. The young man thanked her profusely and ate the food with gratitude. He felt warm and full, and he felt happy for the first time in a long time. He put on the clothes and thanked her again. He left the house and walked to the next one. He repeated the same process with every house he visited. He begged for food and clothes, and he received them with gratitude. He felt happier with every house he visited. He realized that people were kind and generous, and that he had nothing to be ashamed of. He also realized that he did not need much to be happy. He only needed food and clothes. He felt wealthier than ever before. He returned to the master's hut with a smile on his face. He knocked on the door and was greeted by the master, who smiled back at him. The master said, "Welcome back. You have completed the third and final step to getting wealthier and happier. You have learned the way." The moral of this story is that wealth and happiness are not dependent on external possessions, but on internal attitudes. The young man learned to let go of his attachments, to be humble and grateful, and to appreciate what he had. He realized that he did not need much to be happy, and that happiness came from within. He also learned to be kind and generous to others, and to share what he had. He became wealthier and happier by giving rather than taking. This is the way of Zen.